Hey everyone, this is part 4 of my ViewTV AT-300 edit recorded shows tutorial, and it's about sound correction. I had part 1 about cutting and producing an MPEG without commercials within 4 minutes. Part 2 was about encoding to MP4, those files, and number 3 was about sound correction, and it mainly used the shift method, and then the other method was to strip the audio out, do some changes, then save it back in, and then cut from there. The third one is a simple one. It still uses the shift, but it just does like the individual show all at once. So I had a 6-hour show, or a 6-hour recording, and it had 2 hours, a 1 hour, and 2 30 minutes all in there. But let's say in this diagram we'll just have S1 as an hour show, then the ads, and then S2 is the second hour. So I had looked in the waveform and saw that there was real big spikes in the first couple hours, first 4 hours. There's these little spikes, and that's a telltale sign that the audio chirps. That can be due to lack of signal. Most of the time, lack of signal will do those audio spikes. So I had to find a way to just cut that 4 hours out and then use the last 2 hours. So there was no really saving it once you have that problem, unless you want to go save like 10 minutes to an MTS, then another 10, just cut these segments out as MTS, and then append them all together once you do the shift for each one. That's really time consuming. So I'm just going to talk about, let's say you're recording more than a 1 hour show, and it's, or more than one show. So basically we're going to start at the beginning of the file. It should be an iframe, and just coming back, let's mark it. Let's say this is the beginning of this S1. Then we're just going to move it till we get to the ads. And so we're into the ads right now, and we'll just mark it. So actually you could do it this way to save, or a lot of times what I like to do is, let me reset edits here. So this is what I do. Usually I will go in fast forward until an intro. So let's go to something real. Okay, here, let's say this is the start of my show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the B to take out all the junk in the front, because usually I record it like an hour. I have it start recording an hour before the actual show. So I'm going to just hit the Control X to, Control X to cut. Okay. So then I would just go until like, okay, let's say this black and white is the end of the show. Okay, there's color, so I want to stop. Let's say we're into the commercial right here. So then I just hit the A and then move everything, or cut everything out. So then all we have is our beginning of the show all the way to a little bit of the commercial. So at this time, you would basically have your audio synced, so you'd watch people's voices or mouths to sync the voice, and you'd go like at 200 millisecond increments. And let's say the audio was off 1.7 seconds or 1700 milliseconds. Once we find that number, we've already got our whole show right here. So we would go and save as an MTS file. It'd save it, and it would automatically shift the audio so it's pristine. So at this point, that's what we would do. We would close out this raw video and go to the one that we just recorded or just saved. And in that one, it'll index, and then you can go into, there's a commercial, find a place to get your cuts. We're going to cut out this commercial until the black and white. So we'd use, oh, by the way, I'm using Vidimux 2.5.6. So got a little bit different keys that it uses, and then just hit the B. So then we cut out the commercial. Cut, and there you go. It just cuts out the commercial, and you keep doing that. And then you can save this one without any shift, and it should be perfect as long as there's no hiccup during the video. And you'd probably need to look at the waveform to see if there is any of those hiccups or beeps or ticks or whatever you want to call them. But if this was recorded fine, then it should be good to go. You can encode. You can keep them as MTS to stream on your smartphone or your smart TV, or encode to MP4. So that is pretty much how I do it. Basically, what you're doing is putting the shift in and then saving those individual MTS files. So once they're saved, they're already corrected. Now, if you don't do that, what will happen if I just use the raw MTS files and ignore this cut right here? I got that wrong. So basically, we are correcting the audio. So it moves the audio into the negative, and you can see they line up to the frame here. Okay, ignore this cut right here because this is wrong. But this cut does happen. When you cut the picture at the picture, it has those markers. But when you tell it to shift the audio, it doesn't shift the cut of the audio. It only does the video. So that's why if you have 1.7 seconds, that could be a problem, because this audio could bleed into, depending on how you cut it, this extra 1.7 seconds, whatever it is, it's going to bleed into the stuff you've saved. So you always try to leave, if you've got 1.7 seconds, hopefully you've got enough, keep enough like fade to black stuff, or sometimes the show has their logo that fades out. Make sure you have 1.7 seconds of that. So if it does bleed through, it's just bleeding through some like fade out things. So my method of just saving the or shifting the audio and saving it as an MTS, you will have none of this problem of audio bleed through just in this part. But that's why I decided to make this video, is to show you this method. And as long as there's no audio damage or video damage, like the signal cutting out, it should be just fine. So that's why I did it. I had a 6-hour program, and the first 4 hours were problematic. They had a lot of audio ticks and beeps and pops, but then the signal got better, and then I was able to just cut that 4 hours out. But it was still 7.5 seconds off, because all those ticks and that long of a recording, it was 7.5. It took me a long time to find that number. But it can be done. Once you don't have any of those ticks in your audio, it's a pretty good bet that you're going to be okay. So with that big 7.5 seconds, there's no way to have that much extra left in, because you'd be leaving in like half of a commercial if it's that long. So I really had to find a way. Usually I just the bleed through is only like a second or 1.2 seconds, and that's not too bad for standard definition. But westerns that I was doing, but 7.5 is undoable. It would be awful. So adjusting the audio and saving the MTS files individually, that worked. So I think that's all the detail. I might get into MPEG. If you want to actually work with MPEG audio and do some real neat things, you have to have this setting. And on the other one, it's something different. But you can do a lot of neat things. That's what this diagram I did. I used MPEG to encode here, and MPEG to TS to add some pictures in here. That's how I did this diagram. But I hope that helps. Those were the three methods. I guess I better leave it there. Hope this has helped. Keep coming back for this channel for great videos.